Hello, I am back and welcome to Aniscope. So, a bunch of criminals are trapped on an island full of horrific monsters, and the only way they can escape is if they find the mythical Elixir of Life. If that sounds interesting at all, then Hell's Paradise might just be the series for you. Today we're going to be talking about Hell's Paradise, an incredible action horror manga with an anime adaptation slated for some time in the near future. There's no confirmed release date yet, but it already has a trailer out and the animation looks incredible. The animation here is being handled by MAPPA, who seem like the perfect choice for this anime. Hell's Paradise is an anime with lots of strange-looking monsters, and they've developed a reputation for animating series full of monsters like Attack on Titan and this year's big hit, Chainsaw Man. Even MAPPA's slice of life show about pop idols is still about zombie pop idols. So a supernatural manga like this one is a perfect choice for MAPPA to adapt. Now, what exactly is Hell's Paradise all about? And why should you check it out? It's sort of like Suicide Squad meets Lovecraftian horror, with a dash of Buddhism and martial arts thrown in. We know that sounds like a lot. How about we start from the top? The mangaka behind the story is Yuji Kaku. Hell's Paradise is his second manga as well as his longest running and the most successful. Before his big break, he was actually an assistant to Tatsuki Fujimoto on his manga Fire Punch. While there are some similarities between this series and some of Fujimoto's works, Hell's Paradise is more than able to set itself apart. Our story is set in Japan's Edo period, and our main character is a ninja known as Gabimaru the Hollow. At the start of the series, he's slated for execution, but despite saying that he doesn't care if he lives or dies, his body literally refuses to die. They try cutting his head off, burning him, and even pulling him apart with horses, but none of it works. Eventually, a professional executioner named Sagiri from the infamous executioner clan Yamada Asaemon comes to visit Gabimaru. And this is where the plot really kicks into gear. Sagiri explains that a mysterious island has been found and several of the shogun's men have been sent to investigate, but only one of them returned and he wasn't a human anymore. Flowers were growing out of his body and he had a permanent smile on his face. The shogun believes that the legendary Elixir of Life is on this island and wants it for himself. But after seeing what happened to the men he sent, he decides he should send people who are far more expendable. He rounds up a group of Japan's most infamous criminals, including Gabimaru. Together, they're all sent to the mysterious island, each with a member of the Yamada Asaemon to keep an eye on them. As soon as they arrive on the island, things start going wrong. Shortly after they arrive, they all encounter strange monsters which look to be bizarre hybrids of human and animal. All of the creatures also seem to resemble Buddhist statues, such as resembling the famous Buddha or carrying around prayer beads. Things get even weirder when it turns out that it's not just mindless monsters on the island. Controlling the island is a group of what appear to be mystical plant-human hybrids collectively known as the Lord Tensen. But they can't just leave. Even if they're able to escape the island, Gabimaru and the other criminals will be executed. So it seems like they've got to defeat the Lord Tensen if they want off the island with their lives. Just from the first dozen or so chapters, the plot has already got some excellent mystery and excitement going on. And it only gets more interesting as we learn more about the island and the creatures that live there. One of the best aspects of the manga is the art, and in particular, the character designs. Each member of the main cast has a unique design that reflects their personality. For example, the character Nurugai lived in the mountains before the start of the story, so she wears a lot of fur and her hair is more unkempt than the other characters. The volume releases of this manga even come with the little fashion reviews between chapters, showing us each character's individual outfits in more detail. Speaking of the characters, all of our main cast is very distinct, especially our protagonist, Gabimaru the Hollow. At first, he seems like a pretty typical edgy anime hero, but there is more to him than that. Not that there's anything wrong with being edgy. Revi from Black Lagoon and Light from Death Note are both great examples of edgy characters done well, but Gabimaru has more to him. As his nickname, The Hollow, implies, Gabimaru is supposed to be completely empty inside. He keeps telling himself this throughout the first chapter. He's supposed to be above caring about what happens to himself or anyone else, but we soon learn that Gabimaru actually does have someone he cares about a lot. His wife. It turns out that Gabimaru is married and he's willing to do anything in order to see her again. Gabimaru being married also leads to an interesting dynamic between him and the main female character, Sagiri. The two of them obviously don't get along at first, since Sagiri is an executioner and Gabimaru is a criminal. But as the story goes on, they get to know each other a little bit better. Typically, you'd expect these two to be love interests, but here we see a rare depiction of a male-female platonic friendship. The other prisoners and executioners are just as interesting. For example, there's an opportunistic kunoichi named Yuzuriha, and her guard, Senta. Yuzuriha's main goal is to get off the island as soon as possible and not above using her good looks to get what she wants. Meanwhile, Senta looks a lot less fearsome than the other executioners, to the point where you wonder how he got his job. But while both characters may seem shallow at first, we learn more about them as the story goes on. Another aspect of the art in this manga that's noteworthy is how the monsters are designed. The first monsters we meet have an otherworldly, almost artificial quality to them. These are the Soshin, the most mindless of the creatures on the island and the most terrifying. The Soshin all fall into something called the Uncanny Valley, where they look realistic but just weird enough that something doesn't feel right. This goes doubly so for the ones with human faces. As Gabimaru and the others explore the island, they also find Doshi, another type of creature. Unlike Soshin, these ones are smaller and even more human-like. Although they still aren't quite human, having pieces of their body look more like insects. Of course, the most elusive and dangerous of the creatures on the island are the Lord Tensen. They're the most intelligent and human-looking, but it's still obvious they're not normal either. Some are more obvious than others, but all of them look like they've been fused with plants, much like the man found with flowers growing out of him at the beginning. Another thing that happens as our main characters explore the island more, the series becomes more action-oriented. They learn more about the secrets of the island and slowly become more capable in fighting the strange things that live there. The first several chapters are a bit slower paced, and it feels more like a supernatural mystery series. But once characters get used to fighting the creatures on the island, we get some amazing battles. The odds are not in our hero's favor, though. Almost everything on the island is trying to kill them, and it seems that the Lord Tensen are nearly impossible to kill. So it makes for some intense battles, since our heroes have to think fast if they want to survive. And trust us, not everyone is going to survive. While Hell's Paradise differs from Chainsaw Man in a lot of ways, they both have one thing in common. Neither of them pull any punches when it comes to killing off characters. At the start of the story, there were 9 other criminals and Yamada Asaemon that came to the island with Gabimaru and Sagiri. But let's just say it doesn't stay like that for long. Whether it's from the monsters on the island or infighting between the prisoners and executioners, those numbers are reduced in just a few chapters. It really feels like you never know who's going to live or die. We don't want to spoil too much about the series, so if you haven't already, do yourself a favor and give it a read. With its disturbing creatures, compelling characters, and engaging battles, Hell's Paradise is absolutely worth checking out. Or if manga's not your thing, wait and see the anime for yourself. We promise you won't regret it. There isn't a release date for the Hell's Paradise anime just yet, but whenever it comes out, we can be sure that it will be well worth the wait.